The Process of Meiosis by Eric Duriotta and
Lilli Porter.
Before meiosis starts, there is a phase called interphase. In interphase, the cell does its job and performs its normal functions. Here you can see all the organelles responsible for meiosis in a cell. The first one is the genetic information, known as the chromatin, which is inside the nuclear membrane. There's also the asters surrounding the centrosomes, which helps form the spindle fibers. And each individual cylinder is called a centriole, where the pair is called a centrosome, and all the organelles are surrounded by a cell membrane. Also in interphase, the chromatin is duplicated. So now there is 2 copies of all the DNA inside the cell. Now begins actual Meiosis One, where the separation of homologous chromosomes takes place.
Next is Prophase One. Here, the chromatin are packed into homologous pairs. This group of 4 pairs of sister chromatids is known as a tetrad. A piece of each chromatid from the chromosomes is exchanged with its neighboring chromatid. This process is called crossing over. The spindle fibers also start to form.
Now begins Metaphase One. Firstly, in this phase, the nuclear membrane disappears. Then, the centrosomes move to opposite poles of the cells. Now, for the most important step of metaphase, the homologous pairs of chromosomes align in the middle of the cell. They are held there by the spindle fibers that emerge from the centrioles, or the centrosomes. They are held there by a genetic paperclip called a centromere.
Next is Anaphase One. In this phase, the spindle fibers on opposing sides begin to pull the homologous pairs to the opposing poles. The whole cell then begins to elongate, getting ready to split.
The final phase of Meiosis One is Telophase One. In this phase, interkinesis begins. So the cells start to pinch in at the poles. And once they pinch in, 2 cells are formed. Each daughter cell is genetically different from the parent, but have the same number of chromosomes. The nuclear membrane of the cells also start to reform, and then the spindle fibers disappear, and the centrosomes, now only 1 in each cell, go back to its original state.
The second part of meiosis is Meiosis Two. Firstly is Prophase Two. Within each new daughter cell contains 23 pairs of chromatids. At opposing poles, the spindle fibers start to form, and within the cell, the nuclear membrane disappears.
After Prophase 2 comes Metaphase 2. In this phase, chromosomes line up in the center of the cell, guided by the spindle fibers. The spindle fibers hold the cell at the centromere. The centromere is the genetic paperclip of the chromosomes, which you can see as the black dot.
Next comes Anaphase 2. In this phase, the chromatids are pulled apart from their centromeres by the spindle fibers towards opposing poles. The chromatids literally curve while being pulled through the cytoplasm towards the poles.
The last phase of meiosis is Telophase 2. Now, cytokinesis splits the cell again. As you can see, the cell is starting to pinch in, and now showing where each part of these cells will go into their resulting daughter cells. Once cytokinesis occurs, it results in 4 daughter cells, each containing 23 chromatids. Lastly, the nuclear membranes reappear.
This has been a Porada production.
We hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot.
Like and
Thank you.
subscribe.
Hey!